The press hall was buzzing, 1,000 camera drones swarming like hungry insects. President Kingsley approached the podium, her expression grim, her voice heavy with a truth she couldn't soften. "Today," she began, "I'm not speaking as your president, but as a citizen of Earth. The enemy we feared is no longer a distant threat. It's right here, in our own skies." Behind her, a hologram flickered to life, showing a colossal, skeletal starship. Its surface seemed to breathe, writhing with countless weapons. "This is the Forge ship," she explained. "It has already wiped out 4 colonies and shattered our 8th fleet. In 2 days, it will reach Earth's orbit." A wave of whispers swept through the room. "We will not let it pass. The Columbia will lead the counterattack, with our allies by her side." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. "I know what you're thinking. I've read the histories too. But this isn't like any war we've fought before. This is for survival." The bridge of the Columbia smelled faintly of ozone and recycled air, the scent of a ship too long on combat patrol. Captain Elias Rourke stood near the tactical display, his jaw tight. His tactical officer, Vale, spoke with clinical calm. "Primary Forge ship confirmed on Vector 84 Mark 6. Estimated time to Earth orbit, 41 hours. She didn't need to mention the packed fleet right on their tail. On the far side of the bridge, Lieutenant Zhang frowned. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. Faint energy spikes. Could be sensor ghosts or additional constructs riding ahead of it." Just then, the bridge doors hissed open. Vera, the packed commander, strode in, her crimson skin and polished battle plate drawing every eye. "Captain," she said, her voice rich and resonant, "my people are ready. When the Forge falls, your world will remember who stood beside you." Rourke didn't flinch. "When it falls, Commander, I'll remember who's in the way and who wasn't." The Shy Marak was a predator, a century older than the human ship Columbia, its black hull studded with glowing red thermal vents. Commander Vera stepped onto her bridge, the familiar scent of scorched ozone and spiced oil, a stark contrast to the human ship's smell of sweat and metal. Her first officer, Kelroth, stood at the central console. "You spoke with the human captain?" he asked. "I did," Vera replied, her mouth curving into something that wasn't quite a smile. "He is direct, suspicious, just as I would be." Kelroth's eyes flicked toward her. "Suspicion can be sharpened. These humans are wounded, unpredictable. They are also desperate," Vera countered, moving to the tactical sphere. "And desperation is an excellent motivator." Her voice took on the steel of command. "Prepare the forward batteries. If they are wise, they will follow our lead. If they are not, then the Forge will not be the only thing burned from the sky." The first wave hit them before they were even in weapons range. 800 drones had become 1,000, each armed with plasma cutters, rail cannons, and a suicidal intent that didn't need self-preservation programming. Vale's hands moved like lightning over the fire controls. Forward rail batteries online. Missile bays 2 through 6 hot. Captain Rourke's order was simple. Fire at will. The Columbia's forward guns thundered, and drones shattered into molten debris. A heartbeat later, their ally, the Shy Marak, unleashed a beam so bright it left afterimages across every viewport. "Human captain," a voice crackled, "you are leaving your dorsal flank open." Rourke's reply was cool. "We're drawing them into the kill corridor." On cue, a battle group fired from long range, tearing the swarm apart. But for every drone destroyed, 2 more emerged. "Their numbers aren't dropping," an officer said grimly. "They will," Rourke promised, "once we crack the shell." The Forge's hull was a terrifying wall of shifting armor and steam, filling the Columbia's entire viewport. Machine fire flickered from weapon emplacements the size of city blocks. Targeting locks on primary batteries. Vale's voice cut through the din. "Range, 22 clicks." "Fire," Rourke ordered. The Columbia's rail batteries hammered the forge, leaving molten craters in its armor. The Shy-Maruk followed, a lance beam slagging a gun emplacement, but the forge fired back. Massive energy beams, thick as skyscrapers, erupted from its turrets. One slammed into a packed cruiser, gutting it instantly. Another clipped the Columbia, dropping port shields to 30%. Shields failing. Jiang shouted. "Keep main power to the forward batteries," Rourke countered. "If we stop shooting, we're dead anyway." Vale's voice was feral. "Missile bays ready. Fire all," Rourke commanded. 16 heavy penetrators streaked forward. 4 struck home, and the forge's hull shuddered, leaving gaping holes. From these breaches, swarms of defense drones poured out, fresh from the assembly line. The Columbia and Shy-Maruk surged into the breach, their guns blazing. For the first time, the massive forge was vulnerable. But deep within, its molten core began to quicken, like something waking up. The breach corridor was a death trap, a zero-G storm of hull fragments and drone wreckage. Defensive fire streaked through the dark as the fleets pushed deeper inside. "Forward shield integrity at 58%, Jiang yelled. "Stay inside their arc," Rourke ordered. "Vale, overlapping fire patterns now." The forward batteries roared, clearing the last of the swarm guarding the breach. The moment the debris cleared, they saw it. The forge's inner walls were alive, with shifting panels and articulated arms pulling molten metal from glowing rivers. Massive fabrication arrays crawled like steel spiders, spitting out entire drones in seconds. And in the center, a core the size of a city burned with a molten crimson light. Jiang's voice was a whisper. "Captain, that's not just a reactor. It's alive." As if it heard him, the core rippled, and a deep hum rolled through the chamber. "Captain," Vale said, "it's redirecting power to weapons. It's targeting everyone." Rourke's jaw tightened. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. We've just made it angry." The battle began without warning. 4 beams of molten energy tore through the chamber. One instantly vaporated a Terran destroyer. "All ships scatter." Captain Rourke ordered, his ship, the Columbia, dodging along the forge's inner wall. His gunner, Vale, returned fire with surgical precision. The Allied ship, the Sci-Maruk, dove the other way, destroying an enemy gun emplacement. Suddenly, the entire chamber began to vibrate as the walls themselves transformed into massive rail batteries, unleashing a storm of hypervelocity slugs. "Human captain," the alien commander's voice crackled, "I have a path to the core. We need your railguns to breach its shield." Rourke didn't hesitate. "Vale, give them a hole to punch through." The Columbia took another hit, but Vale fired 6 slugs at the exact same point. The shield shattered. Paths open. The Maruk surged forward, its main lance firing a blinding beam that struck the core dead center. Everything stopped. The silence was absolute. But then, the core began to change. Skeletal limbs unfolded from its sides, its glow dimming to a predatory crimson. "It's transforming," an officer whispered. Rourke stared at the monstrous silhouette. Battle stations. The real fight's about to start. It was a nightmare made real. From the planet's molten heart, a giant rose. Skeletal, yet impossibly dense, its limbs bristled with weapons. Armor plates slid into place, and a fiery glow pulsed from vents along its spine. The chamber shook as the warform tore itself free from its cradle. "Captain!" Jiang's voice crackled. "It's generating its own shield matrix. The power output is off the charts." Vale swore. "It's not just defending itself, it's powering the entire forge." On the joint channel, even the fearless Vera sounded shaken. "If that thing escapes, it will annihilate our fleets." Rourke's voice was grim. "Then we stop it here." The warform moved with terrifying speed, swatting a cruiser aside like a toy. Plasma spheres erupted, tearing through our frigates. "Shields are gone," Jan yelled. "We're bare hull." We dove low, firing rail volleys at its knee. The armor shattered, but fabrication arms instantly poured molten metal into the wound, healing it. It was repairing itself, but we found a weakness. As our allies hit it high, we hit it low. The giant staggered. "No!" Rourke roared. "All ships, concentrate fire." The chamber exploded with light as every weapon hammered that single point. The warform roared in mechanical fury. Then it turned and ran for the breach corridor. It was trying to escape. "Not while we're still breathing," Rourke vowed. The fight wasn't over yet. Rourke gave the order, telling Vera to take her fleet and cut it off before it could reach the breach. Vera confirmed, churning her entire fleet to intercept the colossal warform. Meanwhile, Rourke commanded his own ships to target what looked like a spinal cord. It just seemed vulnerable, a weak point waiting to be hit. His ships brought every railgun and point defense weapon online and unleashed a torrent of fire, not even waiting for Vera to get into position. The moment the barrage hit, the warform seemed to recoil in pain. This created the perfect distraction, a small window of opportunity for Vera. She immediately began targeting the warform's joints. With this simultaneous assault from two directions, the enemy creature struggled to compensate, its repair systems overwhelmed by the relentless attack. The combined might of both fleets hammered the warform, relentlessly pounding its grotesque frame. You could see it. Bits and pieces were starting to break away, falling off the abomination. Rourke's voice boomed across the comms, filled with a raw, desperate hope. "We're beating this thing. Don't let off. Keep firing until our barrels melt." The tactical officer confirmed, and the barrage intensified, a constant stream of energy washing over the enemy. Suddenly, the breach it had created began to open wider. Vera's fleet, caught in the gravitational distortion, started to warp and shudder. "Rourke," her voice was strained, "I don't know how long we can hold here. We're either getting pulled in or torn apart." Rourke didn't hesitate. "Get your fleet out of there, Vera. Fall back to my position. We'll keep hitting it from here." Vera agreed, and her ships began the treacherous retreat, regrouping with Rourke's fleet for one final, unified assault. It took some serious maneuvering, but Vera's fleet finally managed to regroup with Rourke's. With everyone in position, Vera gave the order. "All ships, target the warform. Follow Rourke's firing solutions. Target and fire." Immediately, every ship from her fleet unleashed a volley, perfectly complementing Rourke's assault. The combined firepower was overwhelming. The warform, caught in the crossfire, began to break apart as it drifted into the void, screaming in pure agony. Chunks of its grotesque body fell away into space. Vera could even see internal explosions ripple through its structure. She yelled over the comms to Rourke, "We're doing it. We're destroying this thing. Just a little longer." But Rourke's reply was grim. "We've given it our all, Vera. It's just not enough. This thing is just too tough." Vera said she could give a little more, but it would risk melting down her power cores. Rourke immediately shot that idea down. Just then, his tactical officer yelled, "Sir, we have one last thing." Rourke demanded to know what it was. The officer replied, "We have a few heavy missiles left in our arsenal. We just have to load them into the launch tubes." Rourke thought for a split second and ordered them loaded immediately. He then called over to Vera, telling her he had something left. She needed to know what. He explained he had a few heavy missiles, and they were being loaded now. Vera seemed overjoyed at the news. These were the missiles capable of cracking planets into pieces. One or two of them should be more than enough to completely destroy the enemy warform. The tide of the battle was about to turn. The tactical officer reported they were loaded into tubes 10 through 14. Open tubes 10 and 11, Rourke commanded, his voice steady. His next order was precise. Target the war-formed spinal column. Once the targeting solution locked, the command was simple. Fire. 2 missiles launched from the top tubes of his ship, hurtling through the blackness. They struck the war-formed spine with devastating accuracy. The colossal entity writhed in agony, its form breaking apart as it was pulled back into the void. Explosions erupted from within the rift just before it sealed shut, taking the shattered war form with it. "I think we did it," Vera said over the comms, her voice filled with relief. "I think it's destroyed." Just then, a final scan reading came through. A single massive explosion registered from inside the void just before it closed. "That confirms it," Rourke declared. "The war form is gone, and we may have even damaged the void itself." When Rourke's voice crackled over the comms, just 2 words, "We are done," a wave of pure elation swept through both fleets. Cheers erupted from human and alien throats alike, a single unified sound of victory. This was it, the toughest battle either of our species had ever fought, and we won it together. Everyone said this coalition would fail, that our differences were too great. But Rourke and Vera, they knew. They saw the true threat. The void, a hungry emptiness that would have consumed everything, turning our homes, our families, our entire existence into monstrous war forms. They refused to let that happen. By standing together, they proved that unity wasn't just possible, it was our greatest weapon. They showed us all that if we are willing to try, anything can be done. With a final, silent salute, the 2 fleets turned away from each other, charting courses back to their home worlds. Captain Rourke stood on his bridge, watching the alien ships disappear into the vastness of space. "You know," he said, turning to his XO, "if we didn't have this recorded, no one would ever believe it. 2 of the galaxy's fiercest enemies, fighting side by side, united to save everything we know." His XO's voice was quiet. "Sir, what happens now? Do we just go back to being enemies?" Rourke stared out at the starfield, a universe now safe because of their temporary alliance. He let out a long breath. "I hope not," he said, more to himself than anyone. "After everything we've been through together, ... it seems like a waste. But that's not our call to make. It's up to the politicians now." As his fleet warped home to a hero's welcome, with fireworks bursting in the void, Rourke couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battle was yet to come. Thanks for watching. Phantom Static, where the phantoms speak through the static.